Welcome everyone to the Triangle. This is a great place to be and we're just so glad you're here. I understand there's representation from everywhere, so I won't even begin to attempt a personal, unique hello to each state, but we are glad you're here. This is such a neat thing that we're bringing communicators together about the important issues that you share with your constituents and certainly with your employees. Just to give you an idea of our audience, I know that yours is going to be a little bit different, and I think that's important when you think about the channels and the tools that you use. We are just over 13,000 employees now, and we're spread all across the globe. The majority of our folks do use a computer or a smartphone, one of these, on a daily basis to get their work done. So that makes it a little bit easier on us to introduce some new online activities and tools. Most common job at SAS is a software developer. So hint, hint, most of the things that we introduce to them, they're going to pick up pretty quickly because they're tech savvy. So that's just another nuance that you need to know going into it. We do not have any print communications for our employees. This is for a couple of reasons. One is that we want to be more green, and another one, I bet, is in keeping with some of the goals that you all have in your organizations, which is to cut costs. So let's not make it any prettier than it really is. It's to keep costs down. So when we keep our costs down on print communications, we can use them in other areas of the company and other perks for employees. So those are some of our challenges and some of our restrictions. What we set out to do in internal communications at SAS is look at the external world. What's happening on these devices in your personal lives that you're not having to twist people's arms to get them to use. So often we set up new tools and then we beg people to please come and use them. You don't have to do that with Facebook. You don't have to do that with Pinterest. If you've been following Twitter or watching people around you that tweet, you're seeing that that's becoming more and more prevalent. So we looked at a lot of the ways that these tools are set up and said, what could we mimic or in some way set up inside the enterprise that would make sense and serve a similar function? 3 basic ways. Now we all have big communication strategies. Sometimes they're this thick. But we boiled it down to basically 3 things that we wanted to make sure we accomplished. First being provide space and purpose for our employees to learn, connect, express their opinions, share their resources and ideas. That's our number 1. Number 2, give them something to talk about. Let's face it, our employees are social. They're social creatures. We all are. They are spreading a message about your DOT. You get to impact what that is to some extent, but they're already doing that. So then thirdly, it's an important one, trust them, have some fun, give them a compelling reason to listen to what you have to say in a new and fresh way. This is a snapshot, it's a full screen. You don't see this whole screen when you sign on to our intranet, but we decided that we needed to establish our main hub of communication. For us, we decided that was going to be our intranet homepage. That was the thing that we could change most frequently with the least amount of money involved, so that was the way we went with it. It showcases all the need-to-know company information. So if there's something going on at SAS, it will not be missed on the SAS Wide Web homepage. It spotlights an employee. We try to make sure every day there's not just important information out there about stuff, but about the people that we work with, because it's the people that keep us coming back to our organizations. People want to read about what other people are doing in the organizations, not about another initiative and a strategy and a thing. So make sure we spotlight people. We always try to invite employee-generated content. That could be someone who wants to write an article about something they're working on, or it could just be as simple as a comments feature on news articles. Then some surprises, some unexpected elements. People don't expect to have fun at work. How sad is that? But it's true, right? So we want to give them some surprises, some things they weren't expecting. Common questions I often get are, what is your homepage built in? This is largely PHP and MySQL, for those of you who might be a little on the technical side. It's homegrown, and we have a team of 10 of us that serve in internal communications. That's largely the writing and video and that type of thing. And about 2.5, I'd say that's really more down to 2 at this point, folks on the IT side of the house that support what we'd like to do. They're dedicated to probably 90% degree. They might help with a large employee-wide survey once a year or something like that, but largely dedicated, yeah. But in addition to the elements that you see out there, we also try to make sure that it's that fresh content, that approach that we were talking about that we're used to on an external basis. We want real-time company news. I don't know about you, but I don't want to find out what happened in a special meeting that took place 2 weeks ago. It's old news. I've already heard about it. I've heard about it in the break room, heard about it in the parking garage, but I want to hear about it as soon as it happens. So we're trying to shorten that window of time from when things happen to when we let employees know about it. Customized news feeds, I'll show you how this works, but we want our employees tapped into what's happening within their role, within their industry. So let's say they work in accounting or they work in sales to the retail industry. They might want to subscribe to a reputable retail media outlet, and they can do that right from their homepage. A social networking platform, a lot of internal blogging going on. I mean, for those of you who are in a communications role, there is no greater gift to you than the blog because it is so hands-off in so many ways, and I'll show you how we're using those. And then some interactive polls and quizzes. I don't know what it is about polls and quizzes, but we love to take them, and we love to see how we stack up against our colleagues. So very, very simple plug-in tools that you can use either on an intranet. There are lots of different ways that you can do those, even if you don't have a robust intranet that you're working with now. Let me just jump right in with some of the real-time news coverage that I was talking about. As some of you may have gone through these cycles as well, there used to be a time when we would go to an event, cover it, and about a week to 10 days later let employees know what happened. Again, it's ho-hum news. None of us are waiting for that newspaper to arrive on our driveway anymore. We're getting our updates right here on our cell phones. Or alerts in our email boxes. So we're trying to move to that model. Not easy inside the enterprise, but a few things can be done. So this is what it looks like on our homepage when we have live coverage going on. This is an example of a research and development meeting. This is probably the most critical meeting of the year that takes place at our company. Our chief technology takes about 200 global managers behind closed doors, and they set priorities for what our new products and solutions are going to be for the coming year. So you can imagine there's huge interest in this. So we'll run a skeleton story on our internet homepage that day, mark it with a live button, and let people follow the story via email updates if they'd like to do that. And you can go ahead and flip to the next. I'll show you what that looks like. So it'll give you a timestamp at the top of the article once you click in, and then the little receive email updates blue bar actually appears at the bottom of the story, but I know you wouldn't be able to see this in this screenshot. But that allows people to stay up to date if it's of interest to them. Now, if you're working in the sales and marketing world and it's not as interesting to you, you just kind of read the story at your leisure. But this way, if it's critical to you, you get it as news happens. So go ahead and flip. And you know, as I mentioned, one of the most important things I think you can do to improve your communications is to focus on people. Find the stories, find the unique things that are happening within your organizations. The real challenge with that becomes, how do I do this? This is so time intensive. I don't have a staff of 20 people that are covering what amounts to, you know, People magazine stories. What we've tried to do is set up a series of Q&A. And every time we run a story, focusing in this case on an on-the-job type thing, there are 10 basic questions. And then over to the right, we'll run a little sidebar down here that invites people to either share answers to those questions on their own or recommend someone, either on their team or within their organization, that they would like to see spotlighted and on the job. It's very flattering for someone to receive a note that says, you've been recommended to be showcased and on the job, even if they say, I don't want to do that, I like to be behind the scenes. We get a lot of that at SAS with computer programmers. But it's still flattering to receive the note that someone's interested in what you do. So we'll send them those 10 questions. They answer and send them back to us. The little form allows them to attach a picture. Presto, we have a great story in the employee's own words to run on our intranet and mixed in with a good variety of other corporate news. It's kind of fun to showcase the unexpected employees, and we all have them. We just have to think about them. This is Willie, the seeing eye dog. He accompanies a site-restricted employee at SAS, and lots of employees had seen him and weren't sure if they were supposed to pet him or not, and how old is he? How did he get trained? So we worked with Ed, his owner and master, to answer those questions in Willie's voice. This is one of the most popular stories on our intranet in 2011. In fact, they refashioned it and used it externally on the SAS Facebook page, and customers and users alike have loved it. So those are kind of the hidden gems that are within all of your organizations. I did go ahead and list the 10 questions that we use. Obviously, you could tweak these for your organization. The one caveat I would mention is that I would make sure you have a variety of business-centric questions, but also some personal things. One of my favorite questions, I always skip to this when I see one running, is number 9, what's your fantasy job? So basically, in our case, if SAS didn't exist and your role didn't exist, what would you like to be doing? It is fascinating, and it really brings some personality to your internal news reporting. This is an example too. Another variety of this is on the stage. We had a lot of people that said, I know somebody who's going to be in the North Carolina Symphony this weekend. You really should showcase them. We'd love to send someone to the symphony to showcase them and photograph them, but nobody has resources like that. So this is a way that the employee herself, in this case, can fill out the 10 questions and submit a photo. It's one that she likes. It's a nice way to recognize the external work that your folks do. This works beautifully for community service. I'll show you, if you want to jump to the next one, some other timely and relevant examples of when you can do this. We always do this around Veterans Day, and we'll showcase several of our veterans. It's a very proud moment for these folks to get some recognition that they deserve with very little work on our part. This would also work if you're still using just a traditional newsletter format. You can still do the same 10 questions and have these things ready to roll. Employee-generated news is one of your best friends in trying to keep up with the content beast that we all have to contend with, making sure we have enough. We use a report it badge or a button on every internal news story that allows employees to click in, and I'll show you what the next form looks like. This is an internal system that we have called I need business cards, I need a new computer mouse, I need a new parking pass, anything falls under I need. So we set up our own I need page to say, I need some help with some coverage about an internal event. It's about a 4 or 5 question form that they can fill out, which makes it very easy. Many times people in your organizations have awesome stories to tell, but they don't know the right person to get in touch with to share that story. So they end up saying, it's not worth it to go through the corporate hierarchy to figure out where to share this story. So make it in some way easy for them to do that, and the level of employee-generated submissions is bound to rise. Comments and opinions, I mentioned it is more of the employee-generated content that we like to include. On our internal news articles and blogs, comments are always welcome. They're always open. They are not anonymous. And I think you really need to think about your own corporate environment, your own corporate culture, to determine what's best for you. At SAS, we really want to say that there is no bad idea, no wrong opinion, as long as it is voiced respectfully and without, in any way harming another employee. So those comments post immediately. For a lot of people, the idea of posting a comment that's going to appear before 13,000 people is very intimidating. So I think, in my opinion, one of the worst things you can do is monitor comments to such a degree that has to sit in a waiting pool while they're sweating bullets, wondering what this comment board, is going to say about their comment. Is this allowed or not? So what we do is post immediately. Several people on my team receive an email. If it's a great comment, positive, meets the criteria, it's already up. If for some reason they, mention something, a customer by name, or something that is not allowed in our social media policy guidelines, then we can, first of all, contact them directly and ask them to edit the comment. That would be our first course of action. And secondly, if we can't get a hold of them or something like that, then we have the ability to take it down. The comments that appear within news articles also integrate with our social networking platform, and I'm going to show you a few screenshots of that, but that is kind of our internal Facebook of sorts. So we're not trying to create additional silos where we've got one thread of conversation going on about something that's happening in the company within the news article and then a totally different one in the social networking platform. Again, this goes back to just trying to get people comfortable with interacting in easy ways so that when you need their feedback about a change that you're going to make or something like that, that it's not a weird and uncomfortable and unusual thing. So just some basic polls and quizzes that we put out there. These would also be things that you could do in a newsletter format and report the results in the next issue, something like that. More examples. This is one where we ask executives to reveal their bad habits, reveal certain things about them, and it's done in a game format where there's a drop-down list, and then we'll run that in conjunction with the you tell us your bad habits, your own bad habits. So these are just kind of fun things. Again, it's just community building, so that, I mean, one of the first ones that we did was, tell us your first job. So when somebody gets on a conference call or is in a larger meeting with folks that they've never met before, they might say, I saw that you were gas attendant. I was a gas attendant. That was my first job. Any guesses on what the most popular jobs at SAS were? First jobs for people at SAS?
McDonald's. Grocery store. Movie theater.
Think about where we are.
Lifeguard. Hotel.
Dairy farms and tobacco pickers. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. That's really cool information to know about the people you work with, right? Okay. Again, this is an open source software called Lightbox, or it was when we first started using it. But we use this to allow employees to upload their own images. It doesn't snow a great deal here in the Triangle area, so when it does, it's big stuff. And we used to get, our email inboxes were just, bombarded with people's pictures saying, if you need this for the SAS Wide Web, you're welcome to use it. So we just put a self-service photo gallery out there where people could upload things, and then it's our job at the top level just to point to it. I love this one in the bottom left. Again, since it doesn't snow very often, we don't have a lot of sleds, so these folks opened up a hard case suitcase and sent their kids down the hill, which was fun. Innovation at work, right? Okay, go ahead.
Do you screen that, or do they go up automatically?
They go up automatically, but we do, again, take care that day to really watch what goes up. Yes. Understanding that anytime someone puts up a photo or a comment, they are under SAS guidelines. You can't do anything anonymously, so your name's already attached to that photo as the submitter. But all of the behavioral and the computer use policies pretty much cover anything that people would put up. So they do so at their risk of, their employment. The photo contest, we just ran the 3rd annual photo contest, resulting in about 3,500 new images that we can use all over calendars, brochures, all kinds of different things. And there's just a great, it's really fun. And in fact, this year we allowed employees to do the voting in each of the different categories, so we didn't have employees out there for an hour looking at photos. We chopped it down to various categories so they could do about a 5-minute vote, pick their favorites. And then all we do for the winners is frame that beautifully and give that to them. There's recognition, but no money or anything like that attached. But then we have the use of these images, which are great for our intranet. It's great for our external site. We grant permissions. When you upload a photo, you grant permissions for SAS to use those in that way. These are the SAS donkeys, by the way. We had to get the donkeys on our campus to keep the coyotes away from the solar farm sheep, which eat the little sheep underneath the solar panels. So, lots of fun with contests. Okay. Internal blogging is huge at SAS. We have about 800 bloggers internally now. This is an example of what you get out of the box. I'd love to say that internal communications began the blogging program, but we really didn't. Again, back to the idea that we've got software developers as our main employee base. So they were running these blogs on their own rogue servers. Exchanging really great ideas and information about our products and about what was going on at work. So we thought in order to really get them off of their rogue servers and onto our platform, we better make it compelling. So we did a couple of things. When an employee requests an internal blog, anyone at SAS can blog. It stays inside the firewall. But we turn that around within 1 business day. So if you get the courage to decide you're going to start a blog, you don't need to get it 6 weeks later and expect that motivation to still be there. So quick turnaround is important. This is out of the box for the most part, except this little icon on the right. But there are online tutorials that we've walked people through how to post a blog, how to insert a photo, that type of thing. So it is searchable content, just like the blessed, sanctioned corporate information that we put out there. So if I'm looking up information on business intelligence, I'm going to get the sales and marketing portal pages where they tell me what I should know about SaaS business intelligence. But I might also get a couple of developers or somebody out in the sales field who says, this is what my customer is saying about this product. So you're getting a good variety. An example of one of our nutritionists, so it doesn't just have to be the business role people. This is one of our nutritionists that does a blog. It gives immediate and open feedback. It's very timely and relevant. A lot faster to put up a blog post than to attempt to do a formally formatted article. Can you switch for me? This is a sample from one of our most popular bloggers. And to give you an idea, last year he had almost 50,000 visits. This is to his internal blog. He takes publicly available data. You all probably put out a lot of it. But he takes that information that comes out in a spreadsheet or a big column, and he puts it into a product we have called SaaS Graph. And he demonstrates what that data looks like in picture format. And since this is one of the products that we sell, it helps employees go, oh, so that's what we do. So he'll take everything from where to find Christmas tree farms, where the best fireworks displays are, how much sugar is in each one of the soft drinks that's now available in the market, all kinds of crazy stuff with publicly available data, and put it out there. So this tells you that and what we do then on the homepage, if he's got a really compelling blog like this one about hurricane tracking, we'll point to it from the homepage. So that's really cool examples of how our employees are using our products and draw some attention to his blogs. We also make sure that we celebrate our top bloggers every year. If you want them to be sharing these ideas and opinions with other employees, you need to recognize them, make sure that you provide some things for them. The group blogs is a great way for people to get started. When we first started blogging, our folks in the UK office said, oh, we don't blog, we're British. So they decided that they would just start a group blog, and just 3 or 4 people could do it. And if somebody wants to join in, they can get their own little subscription category over here by their name. Finally, when they got up to about 60 people, we said, you all are taking over the homepage. You've got to have your own blogs. So we did it that way. But it's also a nice way for a team, a certain department that doesn't want to commit, if one person doesn't want to commit to regular blogging, they can do that as a team. I'm going to watch my time here, so allow for questions. Okay. Again, this is a great place to aggregate information in one place. If you've got a special event coming up in one of your organizations, you can put all the content related to that in one place, but let lots of people chime in. This is what it looks like behind the scenes. This SaaS Global Forum is our biggest event of the year. We bring in about 5,000 SaaS users and all kinds of cool geeky stuff going on. But this shows employees that don't get to go to that event what goes on behind the scenes and what's taking place. This is kind of a chopped off version of our homepage that I showed you at the beginning. But this shows you how we highlight the blog. So it looks like down here that this is a brand new article in our news division, but actually that clicks into this gentleman's blog because he had something really compelling to talk about. We couldn't have said it any better. Why recreate it? I mean, we're all looking for really great content, right? So we're pulling that out. Then down in the bottom section, there's an area called Featured Blogs. This is an aggregator of people who have said when they requested a blog, I would like to be on the homepage. Every time I post a new post, add my name to the top of the list of featured blogs. And so that just rolls as people post new blog posts. But you can also choose to be behind the scenes. If your blogs are largely very technical or something like that that wouldn't appeal to a broad audience, you can say leave me off. Featured blogs. One of the things we've noticed is a lot of our internal bloggers have become official external bloggers outside of the company, or outside of the employee setting for the company. We've also used blogs to mark certain events. For instance, we still recognize and send a message out when someone within the the organization passes away. We used to wait until we got all that information about the memorial and all this and put it in one email. By that time, most people had missed the memorial service. So now we put what we know out on a blog, and because you can update and edit a blog post, we just keep adding information to it. This woman actually was a receptionist in our research and development office. Really cool. She knew everyone, and I mean everyone in the company by name, even if you'd never met her, because what she did in her spare time was study the staff directory. So she would know you by face when you walked in, and she'd call you by name. It was amazing. So when this woman passed away, she had hundreds of comments from people, some people that didn't even know her. It helps you build that community, that people are important. We're important to one another. We make this thing work. Can you flip me? Oh, is it? Okay.
And real quick, we're going to go an additional 10 minutes past the scheduled time because of the emergency. And then everything that's on the schedule for the rest of the day, we're just going to push back another 10 minutes.
Okay. Actually, I think this is one area that I'm going to slide through. As I mentioned earlier, I will make the slide deck available to Jen. So the parts that we have to cut to stay on time, you'll be okay. So keep flipping, Alan. Can you flip through a little section for me? Keep flipping. There we go. One more. One more. Really one more. Okay, we'll stop there. Now back to the thing that I was telling you. Your employees are social, whether you want them to be or not. They are, and even if your organization is one that does not allow use of Facebook or Twitter at work, they are doing it like this. So you might as well give them something positive to talk about. And this is where if you've got a place in the media where your DOT has been recognized or spotlighted for doing some great work, let them know about it. Don't let them find out about it on their own or chance that they wouldn't. So we'll put those right up in the news section and link them directly to the external site where they can grab the URL and tweet about it or put it on their Facebook page. Here's an example when you really have something that's going to be news breaking. You know this is going out and the media is going to get a hold of it. We'll actually put in the sidebar some suggested tweets, some suggested Facebook posts. Here are some ways that if you want to be, in our case, a brand ambassador, in your case, you might call it something else, for the DOT, you might not feel totally comfortable writing what that might say, so we'll give you some examples, but make this your own if you feel comfortable. This has been really successful for us. The other neat thing about this is you can use in this case, I don't know if you can read from where you are, but there's a bit.ly, there's a shortened URL that we've used. We use a specific one just for employees, so we can track the reach of our own employees in a big, media splash like that. So it's really fascinating, and those kinds of data points are helpful when you want to ask for permission to do something new in the social realm. You can actually point out how social your employees have been to date. This is an example of country mirror sites. I don't know how much this would apply to a lot of you, but if you have other locations other than maybe a main headquarters and you've got another city office or something like this, as you can see, it looks very much like our global homepage, but there's an area of links just for that particular office and a little area of local news. The hub is probably our most exciting area in our intranet and the way that our SAS employees are communicating. As you can see, it looks very much like Facebook. It's one, location. It's located behind the firewall. It's not hosted in the cloud, so it gave our IT department a little boost of security there. There's a mobile application, and this is just designed for those quick conversations. It's not a blog post. It's not a whole news article. We're not diving into the background, but it's a great way for employees to share what they know, what they're seeing. In your case, maybe a quick iPhone photo that they're seeing, where they are. It's using a product called Socialcast, which has now been acquired by VMware. For us, it was very inexpensive compared to some of the other solutions that we looked at. We launched it in 2011. That's an example of what a little post looks like. And as you can see, it took off like crazy. We tried to get representation from each of the major divisions at SAS on a core team that looked into this. basically saying, if we were to give you a social networking platform, what would it need to have for it to be valuable to you and to your team? So we gathered those business requirements, and then right before we officially launched in February, we went back to that core team and we said, here it is, take a look at it, post some comments, give it a try, find the bugs for us. We're a software developer company, so we love to find bugs. And if you want to, you can share it, with somebody else that you know that might enjoy doing the same. So before we launched, we had 1,400 people already involved. So we knew we were onto something. Within 10 days, virally, we got 1,400 people using it. And now we just have right over 9,300 of our employees who have opted in. This is an opt-in application. And again, out of 13,000, we think that's pretty good within about a year and a half. One of the interesting things that we've seen arise is this emerging leader idea. Of course, we all have executives that we need to make sure we get their message out. But what we're learning is there are certain people on the hub that are emerging as kind of influencers. These are the people who share really interesting resources. People want to follow them. They always have good, interesting insights about the company to share in relation to something that others are working on. And then there's a lot of peer-to-peer recognition, and this is something we're all striving for in internal communications, is how do we recognize our folks for all the great work that they're doing. With a social networking platform, the crowd helps to feed that. Here's an example of the thanks feature. This is just a little nifty feature of SocialCast that if I wanted to thank one of my web developers, she gets an email that looks like this on the right with a little link and goes out to the hub, and there's a nice thank you message out there that other employees can also comment and say, I second that, she's done a great job. So easy, nifty little features. One of the things that we've noticed that we weren't counting on being quite as popular as it has been is the formation of groups. And at SAS, we do want a combination of professional groups that are talking about topics and product development and the things that we all work on, but also our work life interests, such as a run club or the photography club, or we have the vegans and the vegetarians and the meat lovers and the we have everything. So that's all out there, and people often say, how do you present the ROI on this? How do you find the business justification for this? For us, we had a whole team that was dedicated to keeping up with the listservs and the distribution lists and how those people moved in and out of those. People were already talking about these topics. They were just doing it in email. So this is a little bit more effective way of getting information faster. Executive involvement is a huge piece of introducing a social networking platform or any type of social networking tool. People want to see if the executives are out there and they're using it, or at least they're liking or commenting or doing something, that gives me the green light that it is okay. If you have a tool that you're trying to push and your executives aren't out there, people are going to feel reluctant, not knowing how that executive team feels about it. So this is an example of Jim Goodnight, who's our CEO, put this little post out there because he'd heard a rumor that SAS, which is a private company, was being shopped. So he called internal comms and said, we need to put an executive message out about this. And we said, well, why not the hub? So we put it out on the hub, and 4,000 likes later, it still sits out there. But you get the responses that range from, I love Roger Katz, dang, my eBay auction already above expectation with a week still to go. It gives people a sense that I can be myself. I can be myself at work. And when you get the real person at work, you also get what's up here. For us as a knowledge-based organization, our next big idea for a product or service is right here. And we've got to get it out of there and onto the proverbial table to let other people build on it. And I guarantee you there are people within your organizations right now who have an awesome cost-saving idea or have a great way to come up with something new that would work within your organizations. They don't know where to put it. They don't know how to breathe life into it. That's something that a social networking platform can help with. Integration is key. You can't just have a social networking platform that sits out here or hangs out down in the basement. You have to integrate it with the day-to-day activities. So, for instance, our CEO does our quarterly webcast. where he used to take questions via email, and then we'd kind of siphon them off and filter them and get the nice questions and pose those to him in that quarterly webcast. Now all the questions go on the hub, so complete transparency in what the questions are about. There's no more filtering. And they also run on a big screen like this. As he's giving his global webcast, those questions and those comments are coming in. What we do see, however, is some of the questions get answered before Dr. Goodnight ever has a chance to address them, because someone will say, what are we doing about this product? And someone else will chime in and say, oh, I've got a task force set up. Would you like to be a part of it? We're meeting next Monday at 4. So a lot of those, the crowd answers questions, and then we can really leave the lingering, higher level, broad concept questions for the CEO. Honoring Innovation Day was another way that we're using the technology. Our Chief Technology Officer said, let's set one day aside this year to be true to who we are as a company, and that we're innovators. And so I want you to set your regular work aside, as hard as that may be, and focus on thinking about creative new ideas or ways that we might, truly make remarkable enhancements to an existing product. I want you to put your ideas on the hub and let other employees comment, and we use the rating feature as well. So that was the most popular topic on the hub last year. Again, these are just some, when we put pictures up for an article, we might say for behind-the-scenes pictures, see the hub. So there's an incentive to drive people out there, something to see. Again, this is where I was mentioning that the news article comments integrate with the social networking platform comments so that everybody's talking about the same article or the same topic. And the like feature, sometimes you just don't have time to comment everything. Quick like says, do more of this. I like this. It's helpful for us too. When we can look at the top liked articles, we know what people are interested in. Reach feature, this is a little feature within SocialCast that also allows us to integrate with SharePoint pages. How many of you are using SharePoint within your organization? A lot, yeah. That's common, and I think it's good. It's it's a love-hate kind of relationship at SAS. We use a multitude of different platforms behind that top page, depending on which division it is. Our sales and marketing portal, office folks love SharePoint. Our R&D folks, no way. It wasn't savvy enough for them, so they're HTML5. We just integrate seamlessly at the top. But this is the way that works within a SharePoint page so that you see that common stream. Another example of that. There is a 180-day shelf life for information that's posted on the hub. If it's not liked or commented on or used in some way, it will die, and there's a good reason for that. If I need to find a tennis doubles partner today at lunch, 3 years from now, I don't need to be getting that information. So I don't need to look through it if I'm legal and the company gets questioned about something. It just needs to go away. But what we tell people to do is if you really want to keep an interesting thread or a thought, go ahead and put that in your blog or on your team site and then link to it in the hub to talk about it. So it keeps the conversation happening out there a lot fresher. We don't end up with another document graveyard. Definitely the biggest benefit to what we're seeing with this social networking platform is fast answers. I'll give you an example of this on the next slide. This is a gentleman who posted a competitive type question out on the hub. I believe he was from Australia. And within 5 minutes, he had 2 answers from people in 2 different countries, 2 different divisions. You can see within a 24-hour period, he had 6 different answers. Every one of these answers added a little something else. It wasn't a factual question that just had a quick answer, right or wrong. It was, give me some insight, give me some ideas. So that shows you that he would not have even known who the experts were to ask, wouldn't have known who the thought leaders are. But social brings that to the forefront and allows people to tap into that whole wisdom across the board.